In this video, I'm going to be sharing my 24-year journey to do music full-time, showing you all the ups and downs and all the different career paths that I pursued. This is not an overnight success story, but a lifelong journey that I'm still on. I hope this inspires you on your music journey, so let's jump right in.
Wow, color tapes!
Ever since I could remember, I've had this dream to do music for a living. I would listen to cassettes on repeat, buy CDs at the store with my parents, and find different ways to record music. I started learning music by taking piano lessons. I didn't really have the patience with it at the time, and I stopped taking lessons a few years in. It wasn't until around 2001, when I was 9 years old, I was gifted this software from my parents called Hip Hop EJ. So Hip Hop EJ was a software that came out around like the 90s and early 2000s, and the company had different types of software as well. They had Dance EJ, Rave EJ, and I think a couple others, but Hip Hop EJ was the one that I had, where you can create different hip hop songs with sounds and samples and loops that came with the software. You only had about 8 channels to create songs with. I did record some stuff here and there, like trying to use my voice, do like rapping and singing, basically making stuff up as I was recording, and I had so much fun doing that. I feel like I did that every day after school. That's all I wanted to do, was just make music, listen to music, and play music somehow. A couple years later, I joined the school band as a percussionist, and that got me interested in to learn how to play drums. I got my very first drum set from my parents, and I started taking lessons. It became my main instrument ever since. Because I started to make and play music at such a young age, I had no idea how I would accomplish this dream of doing music for a living. I just kept learning and trying different things, and I had so much fun doing it. Once I got into high school, I tried so many different things. I played drums in a couple bands. I joined as many school bands as I could, like the marching band, symphonic band, pit band, and many others. I performed in variety shows and even made my own PVC pipe instrument for one of the shows after seeing the Blue Men Group. I upgraded my DAW to Acid Music Studio and continued to make my own music. I also discovered the world of net labels. A net label is a digital label where all of their releases are available for free download on their websites. This unlocked the door to a massive amount of amazing underground music from artists all over the world. This inspired me to create my own net label where I released my own music and my friends' music. There was nothing else that I wanted to do at the time except be involved with music. In the spring of 2010, during my senior year of high school, the band I was in at the time wanted to record our first album to have available at our first show. To save money, I took it upon myself to record our first album in my parents' unfinished basement with zero knowledge on how to record anything. Since I had nothing to record our album with besides my computer, we borrowed various mics and gear from our friends to record our album, and our friends' band's album, made the artwork, made some CDs to sell at the show in a single week. It was an insane week. I had no idea what I was doing. I made a million mistakes, but somehow we managed to get everything done in a single week. We had our show, and then we released the albums online, and they were just terrible. But from doing this first recording project, I had my first idea on how I wanted to do music for a living. I wanted to play drums in bands, tour, and record our albums. That's all I wanted to do.
One man's trash, that's another man's.
This is what I started to pursue when I went to university. I was first majoring in drum performance, but then a year later I shifted gears and majored in audio engineering, and that's what I graduated with. During the 4 years I was there, I played drums in bands, played shows, recorded as many artists as I could outside of school assignments. I also met my lovely wife there. It was during this time where I changed my career path to pursue audio engineering. While doing all this, I was working on my music production skills, making my own songs, and they were finally starting to sound good. In 2013, I wanted to start over with a new artist name because I was really liking the songs I was making, and I didn't want those songs to be associated with all the old ones that I didn't like. On the 13th of April, I released my debut EP under the new name Captive Portal. A year later, I graduated university, did an internship in Nashville for a few months, moved back home, got married, and got a full-time job that I'm still at today. I lost interest in being an audio engineer after the internship, and I was really liking the music I was making under the Captive Portal project, so I started to pursue an artist career under that name. During my spare time, I was making and releasing as much music as I could, getting 1% better every day, with the hope of becoming a full-time artist. While doing this, I joined not just one band, but 2 bands. When we went to record our first October Bird of Death album, it really got me interested in recording music again. When we were getting ready to record our first 2-minute minor album, I asked them if I could record and mix it. They surprisingly said yes, and I was so glad that they trusted me to do it. Working on this 2-minute minor album restarted my interest in pursuing a career in audio engineering again. For a couple years, both bands recorded more music and we played as many shows as we could. With 2 Minute Minor, I learned how to run an online merch store. I also started a small cassette duplication business where I would get tapes made and packaged for artists' albums. I started to do this because both of the bands I was in wanted to get cassette versions made for their albums, and I just randomly had some cassette stuff available. While both bands weren't trying to be full-time, I was officially trying to pursue audio engineering as my full-time career. In late 2018, my good friend Josh invited me to be a part of a small record label that he and his friend Matt were starting. I joined them, helping them with merch and also being one of the music producers and engineers. This was the most fun I've ever had making music up until that point. I finally figured out what I wanted to do as a career, be a music producer and an engineer. I slowly started to upgrade my gear and get some more plugins. My wife and I were also ready to move out of our apartment and get our first house, and that is where I was going to build my very first home studio. However, in 2020, everything paused. The pandemic hit. I lost my job right before we were supposed to close on our new house. Luckily, we were still able to close and move in, but because of everything that was going on, I went into a deep depression for about a year. I pretty much stopped every musical thing that I was doing at the time, and I just took a pause. Thankfully, in early 2021, I got back on my feet, I got my job back, and I started to build my first home studio with my friends and family. It unfortunately took way longer than expected, 2 years to be exact. Many mistakes were made along the way, but the important thing is I didn't give up. I made a video talking about this studio build, and I'll leave a link down below if you want to check it out. The home studio got finished in early 2023, and I was finally ready to start growing my music business. I was working on projects again, making Captive Portal music again, and this was also the time I was doing my very first collab releases with amazing artists and producers. Things were going really well, and I was confident that 2024 was going to be the year where everything takes off. Just kidding. At the beginning of the year, my wife and I felt led to move again. We weren't sure what was going to happen or where we would end up, but we were taking a leap of faith. Our old house sold way faster than expected, and we didn't have a new house to move into yet. Thankfully, we had a place to stay with family while we were looking for a new house. I'm also really thankful that I had a spare bedroom to have a temporary studio in. I couldn't be ever more grateful. We were looking at new houses almost every day. We made some offers, but nothing worked out. But I'm glad we didn't give up and settle for anything less. In the summer of that year, we found our dream house. It had almost everything that we were looking for. I remember when I walked into the room that was going to be for the new studio, I was instantly inspired. When we closed on the house, we worked on all the renovations that we wanted to get done before moving in. Once those were done, we started work on this new home studio. The process of building the studio was super smooth and very satisfying. I'm really happy with how this room came out. I've been working in this room for a few months now, and it's so much fun to make music in here. It's crazy to think that I've been on this music journey for over 20 years now. I'll be honest, it's still not my full-time job. However, I'm continuing to pursue it and I'm not going to give up. I wanted to make this video telling you my music journey to show you that not everyone's journeys are the same. I can understand it being discouraging sometimes where you see someone on YouTube or social media and they're already at full time, or you've been following their journey and they got successful in a very short amount of time. Yes, there's a good amount of people that do get successful in a short amount of time. That's just only some people's journeys. Not everyone's journey is going to be that quick. Take it as an example where I started at 9 years old, changed career paths a few times, had a bunch of ebbs and flows. There's a lot of people where their journey is that long or even longer. Who knows when I'm going to be full-time, but I'm going to keep pursuing it. I'm not going to give up. Now that I'm going to try to be more active on YouTube, my new goal here is to help artists, singers, songwriters, and musicians with pursuing your dreams whatever stage you're at. If you're struggling with anything right now in your music journey, please let us know in the comments below. It can be anything with like making music, such as finishing your songs, turning your ideas into full songs, recording demos, or you're experiencing writer's block, or you're trying to get your songs recorded, or even getting your songs heard. I want to build this community where we all help each other grow and be an encouragement to one another, regardless of where we're at in our music journey. This is Zach of Captive Portal, and I'll see you guys next time.